Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Sipping with Souls, episode 28, 27. Shout out to 27 if it's 27. That's Chris Move's number. Welcome back. Welcome back. We got a lot of things to talk about today, man. A lot of things that have been going on in media. Some of it has to do a little bit with content creation, but a lot of it actually doesn't. I'm specifically mentioning the Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez case ramping back up, the Diddy case, kicking off and all of those different things. The main thing that probably has to do with content creation that is related to content creation is the Halle DDG situation, which we'll touch on a little bit today. Also want to talk about some parasocial activities going on in Plaque Boy Max's community. And also want to talk about my return to NBA YouTube here. But hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully everyone is doing great during the middle of this week. I am doing fine after the Celtics just won last night, but could definitely be better because I've been deep sighing nonstop ever since Jason Tatum went down that night, and that was including a time where I was at a Kendrick Lamar, I was watching the game as I was at the Kendrick Lamar concert when I saw Tatum tore his Achilles, and I was trying to enjoy the concert, but also in the back of my mind, like it wasn't even at the back of my mind. Like I was thinking about Tatum potentially, having this career-altering injury, but I was trying to enjoy, Not Like Us and Euphoria and Luther playing. Like, it was a very weird experience. It was a good night. Like, the concert was fine. It was actually fantastic. But it was also a bad night as a Celtics fan and just trying to deal with everything racing in my mind. And I had to, deal with Gillette traffic. For those who know about Gillette traffic, especially on concert nights, it is hectic. It is a hectic community event that's very stressful. But hopefully everyone's doing good, man. Leave a like on this podcast, on this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a 5-star review on audio if you haven't already. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. And I honestly want to start off with my return to NBA YouTube, right? My return to NBA YouTube. So, for those who have, because I feel like a lot of y'all still know me for Let's Keep It a Buck, my basketball platform, SOLZ and Sage, and this channel right here. For those who don't know, I've had a basketball channel. I've been known as an NBA YouTuber for years now. It's still my main base. I'm gonna just keep it a stack. But on this channel, prior to 3 weeks ago, the last time I uploaded was 7 months ago. I gotta chill out on the soundboard, actually. I've been getting complaints on that. Do people not like the soundboard anymore? I don't know. But yeah, my last upload on here prior to essentially this month was 7 months ago. And I've also talked about, on this platform as well, why SOLZ and Sage ended, and that ended going into 2024. But after a 5-month hiatus, the kid's back. Better than ever, I don't know. But I'm back. So you might be asking, why? Why is B-Souls back on NBA YouTube after, all the complaints about burnout, after all the complaints about NBA discourse, after all of that complaining about how bad NBA YouTube is? Why is B-Souls back on NBA YouTube? I have been considering coming back to NBA YouTube lately, and I think it's just going back to my roots as to why I started creating content in the first place. And to be honest with you, I'm not really backtracking off of the things that I'm saying. I think this is just a part of the whole mantra of, now I have the freedom to do what I want when I want. Right? So if we go back to that SOLZ and Sage interview, one of the main things that I talked about was the difference between doing content at a full-time basis and what that means versus doing it part-time and truly when you want to as a damn near hobby. Those two are completely different mindsets. And I think for years, me being an NBA YouTuber, being so entrenched in basketball discourse, creating NBA content so much that like every single day I needed to come up with an idea. What's the next video? And all of that being tied to my way of living and how I provide for myself and now, my fiance and my dog and, by extension, my family. Those are two completely different mindsets. Two very, very completely different mindsets. And what I found is that now that because of my, actual job that I rely on to pay bills, because of Let's Keep It a Buck being another outlet as well, I now have the freedom, like I mentioned earlier, to make the exact content that I want to when I want to, right? And not be shackled into this framework of how do I make this a full-time living, and not even shackled to like how do I optimize this for the most viral thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? I am back to creating NBA videos because especially right now with the playoffs going on, the main thing I am passionate about is watching NBA basketball, having basketball discourse, right? This is if you go on my Twitter, it is damn near been all my tweets the last 2 weeks is just talking about basketball. You know what I'm saying? And also, with my job at Playback, I'm kind of forced to consume basketball content as well. So it has just been an all-consuming thing in my mind lately. So now I have the freedom to create basketball videos how I want to, when I want to, without the pressure of the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? I also have the freedom to work on this channel without much pressure of performance right now. Obviously, we're working towards becoming better and improving every single day. But as of right now, I still feel as free as I can, as I've ever been as a content creator. Because with the way my life and, professional stuff and creator stuff is set up right now, I can, like, once the playoffs is over, I don't have this pressure of, damn, how the fuck am I gonna, make money this summer, right? I don't have this pressure of, man, I gotta put out 4 to 5 videos this week. Like, what do I gotta do? I gotta make money. Now, I am literally making videos when I want to and just putting them out. And I think that's a completely different mindset that I did not have the privilege of prior to this. It's honestly going back to my roots as to why I started content creation in the first place. It's just to talk about the things I'm passionate about, and not force conversations. Not force conversations. These are all videos that I just legitimately wanted to talk about. I've even been on a stretch where I pretty much uploaded 3 videos in a 24-hour span. Like, I haven't done that in a minute. And the whole process has just been fun. And also another part of this as well, and I don't know if this is the right verbiage, but after years of trying to pivot out of basketball now, trying to dive into other niches and complaining about the NBA community, I think it's one of those cases where I don't think the grass is necessarily greener on the other side, right? The NBA community, being an NBA content creator, definitely has its cons. The main one is, your cap as an NBA YouTuber, your ceiling as an NBA YouTuber is probably a better term right there. It's just not going to be as high as if you went through like general podcasting or being a live streamer nowadays, or doing other things, because this is a highly analytical niche. This is a highly gate-kept niche, and credibility and resources and connections, I personally think, is a much bigger part of this niche than other niches. Much bigger part. Like, especially with NBA players getting into the space, also being a part of the NBA content ecosystem. it is just hard to compete with the resources that a Gilbert Arenas has, the connections that a Gilbert Arenas has, and the credibility that a Gilbert Arenas has just from being a former NBA star himself than little old me, being a fan from behind the scenes. It's just always going to be hard to compete with that. However, just from a pure content perspective, I have just been involved in other toxic parts of the internet over the last couple of years, more serious parts. And just, with me consuming social media nowadays, I just know how toxic other parts of social media can get. One of the things I mentioned with Damo on his episode on Sipping with SOLZ is like, if the most toxicity I got to deal with on a daily basis is people calling me a fraud for not knowing basketball, right? Is people saying I'm a casual? Is people saying I don't know ball? Is people making fun of my favorite player? I honestly think I got it good. Because even on this channel, the things that other creators have to deal with, NBA creators just don't really have to deal with, because ultimately they're just talking about other forms of media in a passionate way. And there is some level of like protection, I guess, that I honestly like being a part of NBA YouTube, being an NBA content creator. There's a level of like a safe space of, bro, this is a space that you can continuously count on and create content on without dealing with the problematic parts of the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, we'll get into some of it today. I just don't got to deal with that on NBA. Like, I can just keep on continuously talking about basketball. And again, if the main pushback at the end of the day is just going to be about my opinions on basketball as opposed to like character judgments and extremely parasocial activities, I will deal with that happily at this point. Happily. And I also think one of the things I've really been embracing as well is like, as much as me pivoting away from basketball content is just the most unnatural thing I can do, because I think the marker of a great, like, there hasn't ever been a great content creator who did not make content about something they are passionate about. Yeah, I think that's how I want to phrase it. And as much, complaining again I have about the NBA community at large, basketball is just something that is just a part of me. Watching NBA and basketball is just something I will routinely do. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just what I'm good at. This is just, you know what I'm saying, something that I consume at a yearly basis at this point, something that I voluntarily analyze, something that I voluntarily talk about in real life. So it just kind of aligns with myself. And I feel like a lot of your favorite content creators, they just extend their real life passions, their real life interests to content. And that's what makes their content really good. You know what I'm saying? So for me, do I want to be solely known for basketball content on like my overall presence on social media? I still don't think so. But I also think I've found a way to not solely be known for that, at least on the short form side. Managing YouTube channels is just so different because YouTube is just so fickle algorithmically that like you really got to know who you're talking to and the content that they want. That, like, again, doing vlogs on this channel or doing what I'm doing on Sipping with SOLZ with this channel would just not be beneficial for really anyone involved. But I think on platforms like Instagram and on TikTok, where you're able to curate personalities a little bit better because of the frequency as to how much creators upload, the various different things that can go viral every single day, I think it's much easier to curate like a overall brand on Instagram and on TikTok around a bunch of different things on one page. But yeah, I've just been enjoying being back on NBA YouTube, man. I think I've found through my analysis of the content creator world and what I want my life to be, I have constructed my life to finally be able to create the content that I want when I want and not have the pressure of the algorithm on my head top while still having, you know, a really big platform. And I think that's a privilege. That's definitely a privilege to have. But yeah, man, I'm back. I may not be back in the off. I think I will be, because the off season is always hectic. There's always a bunch of things going on. But I love the fact that I can have like a 5, 6, 7 day break and, you know, not be glued to my creator studio looking at the analytics. You know, when I get a 10 out of 10, you know, the mental stress that brings me won't be what it was prior. I love that. Because if that pressure's taken off, I think my experience as an NBA content creator is much, much different. Much, much different. But let's go ahead and move on to other things to talk about today. Let's talk about DDG and Halle, y'all. Let's talk about DDG and Halle. So, I'm still catching up with a lot of this right now. And I'm also deliberately not catching up with a lot of this right now because, again, I truly don't think a majority of this has, like, it's really none of our business. But it is, because they're well, not really, but like I'll get into it. Jesus Christ. So Halle Bailey has filed a police report and got a restraining order against DDG alleging physical abuse. DDG can't post or speak about her or their child online. Okay, so this is the TMZ article right here, and as you can see, a bunch of things. Just a lot going on in media right now. Halle Bailey claims DDG abused, attacked her multiple times, gets restraining order. I don't know if I can show those images. Halle Bailey says she's had enough of DDG allegedly abusing her. She's filed a police report, and now she wants court order protection from the father of her child, TMZ has learned. In docs filed Tuesday in LA, she claimed things got physical in January. They broke up back in October, and Halle says DDG came over to pick up their son Halo. She tried to start a convo with the rapper about a child visitation schedule. Let me go ahead and move down right here. Okay, I'm going to just read it because, I don't know, these images might be a little bit too graphic. As she was buckling Halo into the car seat, she claims DDG grew agitated and repeatedly said, "Get out of my car, bitch." Bitch is in all caps, by the way. That's why I said it like that. Halle says the baby was crying and she got nervous about DDG leaving with him in such an agitated state. That's when they allegedly started wrestling, with DDG pulling her hair, slamming her face on the steering wheel, and chipping her tooth. Jesus Christ. Halle says she was in pain and crying, and although that stopped the fighting, she was still worried about Halo. So she remained in the car for the ride over to DDG's house, where she told his family what happened. Okay? All right, I think I can show this now. Boom. Once they told her they'd take care of the baby, she left hysterical and with bruises on her arms to go along with her chipped tooth. She attracted photos of her alleged injuries in her request for a restraining order. She also alleges DDG creeped her out in March when she showed up at her home, entered without permission, went to her bedroom, and texted a pic of Halle's empty bed to her, along with the text, "Now I know what you've been on, LOL." Halle says she interpreted the text as DDG accusing her of having sex with other people. Jesus. Y'all are messy. Y'all are messy. 4 days later, she claims he really exploded when he came back to her house. Halle told him she and the baby were sick, and she didn't want Halo to leave home. And she claims that when he got verbally abusive, smashed her Ring camera and ran away with Halle's phone. As he drove off, she claims DDG threw the phone out his window and yelled to her, "Go get it, bitch." Oh, wow. The incident prompted Halle to go file a police report, And she says she also has ring footage to back up her side of the story. It was also around this time DDG claimed on X he'd been fighting to see Halo for months. These are some text messages right here. Let's actually see if we can get a better look right here. Damn, they got the govy on. Got the govy on. And wait, is Daryl BD? Oh, wow. BD as a contact is kind of crazy. BD as a contact is kind of crazy. I think this is DDG sending her text messages. Let's see. DDG can't see his son because Halle took Halo. Is he sending tweets from AK? You think you're hurting my feelings when you're really just ruining your own image. This is a terrible look. Makes you look disgusting and evil. Enjoy your vacation. Happy Mother's Day, but just have the same energy when it's my turn to have him. I'm on the same shit. Oh wow. With the flex emoji too. Oh wow. For Halle though, the final straw came just last weekend when she says she was vacationing with Halo and her sister in St. Lucia. She says DDG texted her links to social media posts claiming she was on the island with singer Brent Faiyaz. Halle replied, "Not with any man out here. I wouldn't do that. I have Halo. Please let me enjoy my Mother's Day in peace. I hope you are okay and feel better soon." The judge granted Halle a domestic violence restraining order requiring DDG to stay 100 yards away and gave her permission to take nearly 18-month-old Halo to Italy, where she'll be filming a movie for 2 months. Oh, wow. DDG also has to stop posting or streaming about her and their child. Halle claims her ex has been whipping his fans to a frenzy by trashing her when he live streams. We've reached out to DDG's camp. No word back yet. Wow. Just a lot going on here with Halle and DDG. And this is the new Jada and Will of the internet. In terms of like, stuff always comes out every couple of months that just riles up the internet. And everyone just wants to get, maybe not all shitty, but everyone wants to get their relationship takes off of this situation. Everyone wants to call, DDG a toxic man. Other sides of the internet calling Halle a bitter baby mama. All these different things. And it just gets always really nasty with Halle and DDG. There's a couple other conversations that, like, every couple months when some shit comes out, everyone just comes out of the woodworks just trying to get their shit off. Another one is the Tory Lanez and Meg situation. Some news always comes out every couple months. We have that conversation again. Mind you, it's been 5 years since it happened. 5 years. Another one is the Jonathan Major situation. Whenever stuff comes out of that, everyone just comes out the woodworks. Shannon Sharp is another, like, shout out to my guy Sage for tweeting this out, man. Can we go back to one gorilla versus 100 men? Please. Cause I swear, bro. I get it. These are conversations that people want to have. Social media is great in terms of having real deal conversations. That's a part of what makes it great. But also, man, we just find ourselves in other people's business that we just wouldn't find ourselves in if it wasn't for the internet. And also the thing about, like, now people building platforms off of their opinions on other people's shit. And I understand I'm one of them as well. I think holistically, this may have just been a mistake. I don't know. I don't know. So I really don't want to talk about the restraining order here. For real. That is not my expertise. This is not what this platform is about. It's to talk about, their relationship and who's a bad parent and all of that. The main thing I do want to pose for my content people out there, for real, it's just the concept of, would you ever date another social media person? That's really what I want to ask. Would you, because, you know, as a content creator, you have two options, really. You have the option of dating a content creator and a non-content creator. Dating a celebrity and a non-celebrity, right? And there's cases for both, right? I think the case for, you know, a relationship like this is having a partner that's within your field, right? That knows the industry, knows your struggles, can celebrate your wins because they also have their own perspective of how hard things are, how easy things are, all of that. And this could also be a relationship that bolsters both of your careers. You know, celebrity couples have been a thing for ages now. We know that just in general, things get bigger when people work in groups. You know, and a power couple, especially with how, you know, people eat up relationship shit just historically, is always going to be something that will help you in terms of, you know, increasing your reach, increasing your user base, getting eyes on you that you otherwise wouldn't have had. You know, men are getting woman eyes on them. Women are getting men eyes on them. All of these different things. So there's definitely pros to it. But the cons are definitely showing themselves when it comes to this DDG and Halle situation, right? Because when this is the thing that I have about dating other influencers and other content creators. When the going is good, there's nothing really to worry about, right? When the going is good, y'all numbers are up. You know, you're the internet's favorite couple. Y'all getting mad views. You know, the love is just elevated from a social perspective. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things are, you know, when the going is good, the going is great. However, I think dating celebrities is one of those things where, like, when the going is bad, you gon' really, you know what I'm saying? You gon' really judge if you really made the right decision in the first place. Because relationship, this is one of those things where the rate of the things going bad is pretty fucking high. The divorce rate in the United States is 50%. And even outside of that, because they never got engaged, relationships end all the fucking time. All the time. Right? And what you have here is two people that have a very big influence, very big platforms, very loyal platforms, and very parasocial people as well. And when you combine all those elements with the fact that you have made your not only your relationship public, but for DDG's case, your daily life public, right? This is Mr. Vlogger himself. That's what DDG was known for. And now he's even elevated that level of parasocialness to streaming. Because I would argue streaming is a more parasocial medium than vlogging. They really see the real you. For hours at a time, unscripted. And he's one of the best at that now. You know what I'm saying? And now you bring a baby into this, right? So it went from just relationship content, which in and of itself is, you know, I wouldn't dive into that for various amounts of reason. But it turned from relationship content to now family content. Now family content involves kids now. So now we have the situation where you have two very toxic people who have both in their own way weaponized their own fan base to send hate at the other person's volition, with a baby in the middle of all of this. And this is just all nasty work. This is just all nasty work. When you mix there was already a big conversation about mixing family with business, right? Would you hire someone from your family into your business, right? That's already like a conversation point that people have been having for decades. But what makes the internet so interesting and so dangerous when it comes to that conversation is when family becomes the business. That's the key point. I understand they got other endeavors, but let's keep it a stack, especially for DDG. His business is his image. His business is his life. His business is his lifestyle, right? Halle, not so much, because she's an actual artist. She's an actual actress. But let's keep it a stack. She also has a pretty big Instagram following. She is also like a pseudo-influencer in all of this. When life becomes business, when family becomes business, this is what you get. This is what you get. And you can't really say, oh, y'all shouldn't be talking about this. This ain't none of your business. When y'all have made it everyone's business. This is an active choice. Both of you mutually decided to date each other. Y'all decided to procreate. It takes two to tango. I'm sorry. Unless there's other big allegations being involved now, and if those allegations are being involved, then that's another story. But it takes two to tango. You know what I'm saying? And all the internet is doing right now is commenting on public affairs. So similar to Travis Hunter when he was going through it, by making things public, you know, it can't be a situation where you can benefit from your relationship being public, but then you also don't want to deal with the repercussions of your relationship being public with who you want to have that relationship with. It just won't work both ways. It just won't work both ways. And I really do feel bad that in the middle of this, Halo is in the middle of this. A baby, a child is in the middle of this toxic situation, this toxic relationship. And ultimately, I am just rooting for, you know, the best for the baby. And that even sounds weird to, like, yeah, that even sounds weird to say. I don't know. I've heard too many points for both sides as to like who's really the problem in this relationship. I just know when children get involved, you know, and especially when how much you can see your child is restrained by one person doing one thing. Parents get emotional naturally. You know what I'm saying? Like when DDG was not able to see Halo. Again, there's people saying like that was a sinister, malicious play by him. But I would get, from a parent's perspective, being mad, not having access to your child when you want to. I also had the same sentiments for when Halle, you know, was tweeting on the timeline when DDG brought Halo to Kai's stream, right? Like I fully get where she's coming from. Where the fuck is my child? And why the fuck am I finding out, you know, through a Kai Cenat live stream where he is, right? Like that's something that you, as a mother, I should know where my child is, and I shouldn't know through fucking fear buck clips, right? Like that's just natural. That's just a natural reaction to me. But you know, this is why personally, And I don't even think I did it on purpose. I am grateful that I am in a relationship, a long committed relationship with someone who has no interest in creating content, but also is very appreciative, very grateful, very understanding, and respectful to my career and my craft. You know what I'm saying? Because my girl has no interest in wanting to be in content, but she also knows that, you know, content creation is a serious business, that it is a way of living. It is a fine way of living. And she's also like knowledgeable of the content world enough to know, you know, how impressive some of my accomplishments are. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not fully not involved in content, but like she consumes content enough to know, you know, how crazy it is to get 1 million views on something, how crazy it is to get 100,000 views on YouTube, how crazy it is to, you know, receive a plaque. You know what I'm saying? How crazy it is to get this brand deal. You know what I'm saying? All of these things, she's still mindful of those things, and I'm very grateful. I'm very happy to be in a relationship with someone like that. But for those who got girls with their own platforms, hey, good luck to y'all. Good luck to y'all. But hey, there's probably a lot of y'all listening to this right now that are in those relationships, or maybe not listening to those relationships, and are just like, man, that shit would never happen to me. Okay. I bet DDG and Halle were thinking the same thing before shit went awry. I bet. But hey, let's go ahead and move on to this next topic. Okay. Let's talk about Plaque Boy Max. I've been seeing a couple clips about Tae, a member of Plaque Boy Max's community, and I'm honestly not too familiar with it. I've just seen this dude crying apparently, and him leaking texts.
What is this profile pic?
Is that Jessica Alba?
I'ma just keep it a buck. Max and L Man's in this situation, bro, trying so hard to cover up the fact he's a promiscuous womanizer. Yeah.
I'm assuming this is his burner.
I pay for his flight out here. He living in the crib. I got. Yeah. This nigga had. Bro, what's the point of this? So you telling me you talking shit in my house about me, calling me a promiscuous womanizer, and then you gonna go on TikTok saying you don't got a song with Plaque Boy Max though?
I'm not gonna lie. This is the worst burner attempt I've ever seen. This is the worst. How you gonna make a burner? This is my thing. If I were to make a burner, I would not make all the tweets about me, and then all the other tweets be implying things about people that I'm associated with. If I were to make a burner, like, imagine just seeing, I don't know, I'm gonna just make up a name here, Avi22, right? You see a Avi22, it's only following one person, and it's B-Souls, Omar, Sage, and Damo, right? All the tweets is just hyping up me, right? Make like just you know, getting shit off about me, putting everyone else down. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's L burner activities. That is L burner activities. Okay, this is apparently the next timestamp here, so.
I fuck with Max so heavy, I'll just say this. It's time to go back to the basics. The segment where he used to be in calls with Batty Hub used to be so entertaining. He barely does drag. Never does song wars with his boys. Nigga, just tell me this. Yo, this is weird as fuck. Like, why don't you just tell me this? Why are you tweeting it in a com? This shit is so weird, bro.
Yeah, doing it in a com, having a burner and doing it in a com. This is my thing too. If I were to make a burner, it would purely be to reply to other people's tweets. Like that's it. I would not be making a burner to build a platform on that burner. Cause what if that burner actually blows up and now you're gonna really get, things twisted. And now that burner is involved in the Twitter community.
Looking through the com, you guys are very funny, but all the love in the end of the day. Y'all want me to stream more with Tay? Yeah, y'all a W couple. No, not a couple. I'm single. He's cool. Give him a chance. How are you getting done on your burner, motherfucker? Oh my gosh, I'm about to lose my mind. I need water. Trey, do we have water?
Getting dubbed in your burner.
This nigga's the... I was friends with a nigga like this, bro. This shit whack, bro. This nigga's a weirdo. Like, like, yo, the fact all this coming out, this a crazy scandal. Today's a crazy day. May has been insane, bro. What is going on, bro?
All right, so I believe he actually did respond. So, yeah, let's do this. This is his response, apparently. So, Tae2Smooth gets emotional while talking about Plaque Boy Max unfriending him after he found out he was using a burner X Twitter account to be speaking behind his back.
I'm gonna find my own way, bro. Like, this nigga was really my mans. You feel me? I thought niggas was really gonna go to the top together, but I'm gonna find my way, bro. Bro. Y'all can take my shit out of emote only, bro. Y'all can take my shit out of emote only. Like I said, join this dark side. What's good, Chester?
This dude is crying.
You said don't blow everything up. I know there can still be friendships, bro. Bro, I know niggas is good people, bro, but the way niggas is wording shit, bro.
Someone chatted Domino's calling.
Used to could talk to this nigga every day, and then like shit just, you feel me?
Man, this dude is crying over this. And I think we have another clip right here.
I'm glad I met you. But I've attached you to my brand. When you let women feed you watermelon, that tarnishes my brand. It gets put in the... It literally got posted by Fearbuck. Plaque Boy Max friend, Tae2Smooth eats watermelon. Gang, that's just all attached to my name. This shit, outside of just being a friendship, us streaming together, we do business. It's facts. We do business. So because we stream together, we do business. When shit like that happens, it's attached to my name. Okay. I'm just keeping a buck. That's facts. I'm telling the truth. And if you're not ready for that, then that's cool. Gang, stop acting like this business shit don't matter to you because you were on Twitter using multiple burners to try to boost your fucking name up at the discretion of your fucking friends. So therefore, you're worried about business as well. So stop acting like you tight that shit. That shit annoying.
That's not business.
That is business, nigga. That's not business. So stop acting like it's not. You're acting like a child, bro.
Nigga, that's the truth.
Like, come on, gang. And you know what else is true?
Everything
that you doing shit like that make 5-star look like some fucking hoes. Do you want the truth or not, nigga? What the fuck? Like, that should be blowing my shit, bro. We either gonna talk like men and we gonna have a real convo where we straight up or we're not. I already told you I apologize for making you feel crazy, but you're saying bullshit now. Stop acting retarded. Now, like I was saying,
Damn. A part of this is definitely Tay acting weird. Don't want to excuse weird behavior. But I think this is just a part of online communities and building an online following. Some of y'all get way too comfortable with people y'all meet online. Way, way, way too comfortable. And I get it. I technically shouldn't be talking, right? Like, my best men are people that I met on the internet. But especially for people who have platforms at scale, I think some of y'all just get way too comfortable, like, having people that you ultimately don't know represent you. Because Max went through this as well with Noir, right? This is a mod that's been in the community for years. This is a allegedly trusted individual And all of a sudden, he's just not trusted. He's not a trusted individual. Right? And this seems like another one of those situations where this is one of the, you know, one of the guys in the community. All of a sudden, you find out he's a fucking weirdo. Right? All of a sudden, this is a dude that's bad for the brand. All of a sudden, this dude is a brand risk and all of that. But I think I've seen too many of Max's controversies at this point, especially this year, to say there has to be a level of accountability held on Max for not vetting the people he has around him better. And I think, again, this is something that he'll just have to learn the hard way. He'll just have to keep on learning and learning and learning. But there's a reason why, like, AMP, and I don't want to make this a comparison. There's a reason why AMP and them move way differently now than they did 3-4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? A part of what made them big is them leading into the parasocial relationships with their chat. But I don't know if it's just me. I have noticed AMP as a whole be a little bit more distant with their community as of late. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is a deliberate thing. They're not in the discords as much. You know what I'm saying? They're not, you know, really in the trenches of like a Twitter community as much. They're not with that. They're very intentional with how they move. And I think that's intentional. And it's to avoid situations like this. It's to avoid situations like this. When you are a person with something to lose, you got to move around people who either respect, like, you know for a fact they respect what you got going on, or you got to move around people who also have something to lose because they know if they move differently around you or if they move wrong around you, y'all both going down. And I think, you know, way too many people get caught up with people who don't have much to lose and try to mooch off of them. Because that's their day ones, that's their mans. And they didn't like vet enough exactly what this dude's intentions are being around you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just a process that's harder when you're dealing with people who are online, when you're dealing with people that can hide behind anonymity. You know? That's just what it is. Oh, God. Some other quick hitters to get out the way. Vicstar responds to Bazinga calling the Sidemen his colleagues.
Bazinga apologises to fans after calling Sidemen his colleagues before friends.
You lot are my colleagues.
Stop doing that. Stop doing that.
I said it in the chat the other day. I said they're not my friends anymore.
Stop doing that.
They're my colleagues.
I'm your brethren.
You are my colleague. That's what I see.
Oh, that's a whole thing.
You are my colleagues, though. Like,
I said he was my friend. He said no. I would put you.
In the capacity I see you lot now, it's way more of a work colleague than it is a friend.
Look, when things are taken in the slight wrong context, you can end up with something like this. We all understood what Ethan meant, and I think the guys on the podcast understood it and kind of worked through it. However, we live in the TikTok generation, and the TikTok generation is take one sentence without a few minutes of discussion around it, bang, stick that up. Oh my goodness, everyone's arguing over it, debating it. Yeah, that is one that I think got drawn a little out of proportion. It did get clickbaited. You know, the way he put it across in that one sentence didn't land particularly well.
And yeah, I think he even stopped a podcast with his wife or fiance at the time. I can't remember when it was, but he stopped that because of the amount of kind of people that were clipping and doing crazy TikToks about what was happening.
They appreciated that.
No,
so
they did.
just...
What was the out of context thing though? I don't know. What was the out of context thing? I think internet relationships are so interesting because I'm in one right now, and I genuinely like one of the things I'll never forget about is like really having to deal with that question live on the pod. Like, yo, are people like are we friends or are we colleagues? Because the more I really thought about it, like, you know, what do I think a friend is versus who I think who I think a colleague is. And I'm gonna just keep it real. The relationship for me with Sage, with Damo, and with Omar really did start from a business perspective. You know what I'm saying? With Damo, yeah, I've told the story. With Omar, I've told their stories, individual stories of how I met them and how I started doing content with them on this platform before. But I think it's one of those things where kind of like with your coworkers as well, right? Like the relationship starts off as colleagues. Like a relationship could start off as colleagues, but then you turn into friends because of how much you guys interact with each other on a daily basis. I guess for some people the differentiating factor is how you interact with people outside of working hours, and that's what really makes for a good friend, because I do kind of sort of believe in that. Of like, you know, there's like, take it back to school. There's certain people you was cool with third period, right? Y'all may even look like best friends in third period. But that motherfucker ain't hitting you up outside of the class, right? He's not hitting you up outside of class. He's not inviting you to anything. Y'all not hanging out outside of class. Like, that's just what y'all are. Y'all can be cool, but y'all got different friend groups. Y'all got all of that. So it is interesting. That definitely is interesting. But yeah. With that being said, I think I'm going to call it right here, chat. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Appreciate y'all for listening. Shout out to Sipping with Souls, the Sipping with Souls community. All the love y'all been showing the channel recently. All the love y'all been showing the NBA videos recently. But with that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.